Okay, here's a hot take from me on Midwinter's Minis view on historical wargaming. If you're going to be the good guys, you're going to have to play against the bad guys. I noticed that um, his general assumption is that some people are going to feel bad, if you play them, blah, blah, blah. But that's in any historical setting. There was two sides, and usually the history is written by the victors. I'm sure if the Nazis have won, their point of view today would have been a lot different about what they were doing. But again, this is a game. We are gaming. We have to have two opposing sides. And in gaming, you could play British versus British. You can play whatever you want. They're your miniatures. We're talking about miniatures wargaming. And a lot of people who play historical wargamings, they don't just play historical wargamings, or they don't just play one period, or they don't just stick to one army. If they do, then the problem is the wargaming. The problem is the person that you're playing against. And in real life, people come from all stripes, all shades, all colors, and you're going to have some guy fixated on the cycle rate of the MG42. For me, it was super heavy tanks. I loved big tanks. And the Germany during World War II had the best big tanks. So, the fact that I owned 4 German armies that I personally owned, besides just being a miniature manufacturer, doesn't make me a Nazi, and it shouldn't make anybody else who plays the Nazis unless you declare that you're a neo-Nazi. There's not very many Nazis, I think, even still alive, from the 1940s. But people do have fascist tendencies. I think singling out Bolt Action was wrong, because you have people who are at Warhammer tournaments in full neo-Nazi regalia, and he doesn't point that out. So it's not just historical gaming. It's you're pulling these people from the larger society, right? You end up with people who gravitate to this for the wrong reasons, but luckily the community has a really good way of weeding it out. And even GW itself, in its corporate statement, said that Warhammer is for everyone. It's, even though when I first saw the game, back in the 90s, it was, okay, I have a bunch of cloned, blonde-haired, blue-eyed superhumans fighting demons. Okay, this game wasn't obviously meant for me because of the box cover art. It was glorifying, a very Eurocentric point of view that didn't include people of color. And now recently, in the last 10 years, they started to include people of color and women, right? So, things change, and I don't think you're going to be able to get away from that history, nor should we. I mean, history is there as a reminder of what not to do. I mean, the Nazis are bad. Nobody's arguing that, I don't think, because the whole world had a war about it, and we've all come to the decision that Nazis are bad. And I say bring on the bad guys, because I want my 761st Tank Battalion, who were actively experiencing discrimination here in the United States, went out and fought. My grandfather went and got into a freaking tank and fought Nazis, while when he came home, couldn't eat in a restaurant with other white people. So, there's that. History is messy. People are messy. Things like good and evil aren't necessarily so black and white. And I wrote my games because in 100 years, there's never had been a game dedicated to the Harlem Hellfighters, who were the most decorated unit that fought in World War I for the U.S. and faced discrimination immediately when they came home, right? The 761st Tank Battalion didn't get their medals till 50 years after World War II, and many of them had already passed on. So when we think about, good and bad and how it's played out, I think that history is there as a learning experience, and I know here at Gaddis Gaming we use gaming as a way to teach history, as a tool, as history is actively being erased in Florida and 26 other states across the United States that say, oh, you can't talk about black people, you can't talk about the gay community, you can't talk about black history. I mean, games are a way for us to be able to broach the subject in a way that's easily absorbed by everyone. It's a whole hobby thing. I know people who, I made a TikTok about not putting swastikas on your tanks because that was a Luftwaffe thing. And oh my God, thousands of likes. I make a video about, hey, here's a miniature I painted, 300 likes, right? So, the internet does what the internet does. People seem to gravitate towards negativity, and I'm sure his video got, a lot of views and a lot of responses, and I'm one of those that's going to respond to it because I think I have a unique point of view as an African American who has a miniatures company specializing in historical miniatures that features people of color and women that are overlooked. So I see it as an opportunity, as a teaching tool, not as a threat. If your community is full of Nazis, then maybe you might want to think about why your community is full of neo-Nazis. And who are the people that you're playing with? Because I know in our community, I play with all kinds of people. People from Asia, people who are Jewish, all kind of ages. We got a lot of new people, thanks to Warhammer, getting into miniatures gaming, and I'm there for all of it, and I want everybody to feel comfortable at the table when you're playing. And if you want to bring a German army, you better have a Tiger 2 in it, because I'm bringing a Pershing, so let's go. But yeah, so I think that it's dangerous to paint that whole community with a broad brush, or have the idea that just because somebody has a certain army that they are of a certain political point of view. I play with not a lot, but I play with some right-wing Republicans. And one of the rules that we have at the gaming store is politics is at the door. You can't come in proselytizing about religion, and you can't come in trying to convert people to your political party. We are here to roll dice and have fun and escape that. If I wanted to do that, I'd turn on the TV and flip through the channels. But for us gamers and for hobbyists in general, nothing should be off the table. Nothing should be taboo. Within reason and taste. I know that a certain accessories company got in trouble because they decided to paint up a gas chamber. A bridge too far, people. Nobody puts gas chambers that I know of in your miniatures game. Is it in the, could you arguably say, it was for an objective marker that you had to come in and liberate, a concentration camp, as a scenario, because the 706th Tank Battalion actually liberated a concentration camp by rolling their tanks through the gate doors, historical fact. Yes, you could. But I can think a lot of other things to use your weathering powders on than that, So, are there people with far right-wing ideas in the hobby? Yes. Every chaos player I know. Just joking. Chaos players. But yeah, but you're going to meet those type of people. But again, if you can police, your play group, and if there's clear rules for what is acceptable and what is not acceptable by your community standards, then I think you should be safe playing whatever you want. Romanians, Hungarians, Finns. I even sell a miniature of Hitler. So it's not something to be avoided. It's something to be understood, and to be able to put in context. And I'm sure there's people who will object to this video for things that I've said, but I want to hear what your point of view is. I want to let's have a discussion. about it, because I don't think that there's anything inherently wrong with owning a World War II German army. There's definitely something wrong if you espouse neo-Nazi or fascist ideology. I mean, that's where I draw the line, and I'm not going to roll dice with you, But what do I know? I play Weird War, so I like Tesla guns and death rays, But yeah, let me know what you think, what your opinion is, how you feel about it. This is not an attack on him. This is giving just a different perspective from a person of color that plays miniature games and that happens to have 4 German armies. I have Africa Corps. I have late war, early war, and Fallschirmjäger. The only army I don't have is Waffen SS. But I sell them, so there's that. And I'm not going to look down on you because you have them. But like I said, just chill out on the swastikas. Most of the time they use the Balkan cross anyway. All right, guys. Like, share, do all the things, cuss, scream, pound your fist. But most of all, happy gaming.